I had a thought this morning, we'll share with you, then we'll get into that. I've been having a lot of work done around the house. You know, the thought occurred to me this morning, anytime you're trying to do something, you need to make it better than what it was before. Now, irrespective of, that's set there since 1953, you figure it's gonna be there. So, you know, they're replacing the beam on the carport. Well, there was nothing tying it down to the carport. I said, okay, it's been there 64 years, but now, what good? But you know, as long as you're unaware of it, you didn't think about it. But when it brought to your attention, you need to deal with it. Make it better. Thus, the same way people get in a rut, they don't want to learn anything more than what they've got. Because now, Grove, his favorite saying was ease and zine. You know, you used to hear that quite a bit. It's where you're comfortable. And if you're comfortable in a situation, well, like you're comfortable sitting on the couch or your favorite chair or whatever, you ain't doing a whole lot unless, like me, you're sleeping. You know, you're not doing a whole lot. You know, me and Michael talk about it quite a bit. You get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes, and that's scary, but it's good for you. It allows you to stretch out, it allows you to become better. And the whole thing is, as long as you don't understand something, well, you're fine, but when the Lord brings that to your mind, you need to move up to it. Well, you have to move up to it, there's no other way around it. And that's, like I said, what's got people in the way they are now. They're living their grandparents' religion, for lack of a better way to put it. Now, Granny and Papa, that was fine for them. They lived what they know. Now, you know, like Wanda, I mean, you know, just as if she didn't make it, they no use of me trying. But that was for her in her time. We can't go. Now we can follow in the footsteps of. You see, there's a big difference there. You're following along, but you're building on what they laid down. You know, just like with their kids. The things that Libby used to studying in kindergarten, I didn't worry with. I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade, if not higher. You know, we were smart for our day, but as things go on, now these youngins, you know, she leaves me in the dust. I mean, before the young could even read, she showed me, she walked up to me over the house one day and said, "Paul, I ain't got any Wi-Fi." Well, okay, you can't read. How do you know what Wi-Fi is? But she knows. I mean, like the joke goes around, she's playing with a smartphone at that age, I was eating dirt. So, you know, kind of humbles you just a little bit. Now, we'll get started here for a few minutes. 15th chapter, first verse. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, "Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders, for they wash not their hands when they eat bread?" You see, this is what we're talking about. You know, they had rituals, they had things, but they carried that all the way down. You know, and the whole purpose from beginning to end was Christ coming. You see, they totally missed that. And the Jews to this day still miss that. They think that he's going to come back and raise up a kingdom over there. Well, the kingdom was raised up with his death and resurrection. You see, that's what they reject that. True. And the answer said unto them, "Why do you also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?" And I know we talk about tradition a whole lot, and this is kind of the way this is going this morning. But tradition is not a good thing. You know, now I'm as much a creature of habit as anybody. I go to Kmart, I try to get the same parking place. That's just the way I am. But in this thing, tradition will get you, as Groveland used to say, ease and zine. And I mean, you think about it, the way we conduct a service is the way it's always been done. Now, who says that's the right way or the wrong way? But people get locked into that. Years ago, Roger Shelton, him and Ronnie was going over at Memorial, and Roger got up, and he was going to preach, and he preached before, you know, the singing and this and that. Not a thing in the world wrong with it. But talk about throwing bunch for a loop. Now it did, they didn't like that at all. And you know, when Jonathan held that revival over at Carmen, good revivals I've been in a long time, they reversed everything. You know, sung a couple songs, let him preach, and then had singing after. And that was, you know, giving me chills thinking about that was a good revival because everybody was obedient.
True.
And you know, when those singers from prison was over there in 2 services, I mean, if you could feel the Spirit, son, and you know, you could cut it with a knife. And the thing of it is, there wasn't no hooping and hollering and foolishness. It was just people being obedient. And you know, people going to the altar. And that's what service is. It all ain't, you know, now hearing these old saints say amen, ain't a thing, we're wrong with that. But this is, you know, how does God speak to you most of the time? That still, small voice.
True.
And, you know, you need to get still once in a while to where you can learn something. See, for God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, and he that curses father and mother, let him die the death. She says, whoever shall say to his father or mother, it is a gift, but whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. And honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus you have made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. And now what you say here, said, ye hypocrites. You know, that the Pharisees, you know, as everyone knows, now they were all about see and be seen. They love standing up there on the street corner, and they love people patting them on the back, calling them Father, you know, and then saying these long prayers. And there's nothing wrong with praying what's on your heart. If it takes you an hour to pray, pray. But when you're sitting up there and you're just repeating, what's it say about vain repetition? You know, when you see people, they just pray because they can pray. And that don't accomplish nothing. You know what Paul say? Was it 3 words or 5 words with understanding? Something to that effect. That's 10,000 in the unknown tongue. And I won't mention any names, but the boy got up preached, and most of you know who I'm talking about, for 30, 45 minutes. You know, just moving around everything. Then another fellow got up and testified, and that 5-minute testimony had more of a blessing on the people than the 45 minutes the guy was standing there preaching. See, it ain't all about the long speech, it's what comes from here.
That's true.
I mean, that's what, when it's all said and done, the tenure heart's what matters. You know, people that's gifted with these great swelling words and all that, that don't get you anywhere. You know, the publican, you know, the Pharisee standing there, you know, in his, as we would be today in his Armani suits, you know, 3-piece and all that, and then thinking to God that he's not like this little farmer or carpenter like we are. But all that guy did, he got down on his knee. He honored God enough to when he raised his head. He said, Father, forgive me. See? That's all it takes.
You know, this verse 5, I paraphrase it, but that's what it said, but he said, whosoever shall say to his father or mother is a gift. In those days, instead of helping your father and mother out, you could say, well, I've donated, I've promised that money to the Lord. And that's what he's talking about here. They'd say, you could go around and say, well, it's a gift, I gave this to the Lord, I can't give you this money. It's, you know, God, there's a word, and I look at it sometime, I brought it up. But they could do that, and that's what God's talking about here. They're saying, well, I've already dedicated this Lord, so I can't help nobody. And this sort of like everybody else, and that's what he's talking about here. You know, don't say that what you've done is already promised to God. They promise something to God, and then they think, well, I don't have to help anybody else. I just spend this on myself.
Yeah, whatever, man,
That's the same thing. I mean, and that's what he's talking about here. When he said,
And you know, and like you said to them, it was their money to do with as they pleased. But they said they was gonna give all of it, or whatever they say all of it, and they held some back. Well, then in doing that, they lied to the Holy Spirit. Now, you know, we're messing with a dangerous thing here. Something great, a lot bigger than we are. So if you, and you get all this stuff into those, and they're going to never, it's better to never make one than to make one and break it, which is basically what they did. And like you're saying there, a promise is to the Lord. Well, then if you don't use it for that, then you're in danger of the same thing.
That's what a lot of people got away with not doing it.
That's what a lot of people are today. You know, they set aside this, and you know, think of the guy that had the good harvest and said pull down his barns and build greater. So take thy needs, you know, you got goods for many years. What happened? That night he said, thy food, thy soul should be required of thee. And to put it as we put it, it's for young'uns to fight over.
Yeah.
Is basically what he said. He said, whose will these be? You know, we don't have the promise of that. And that's, you know, this endless debate about retiring at 62 and at 67. You hear everybody talking about it, and I tell people, well, you show me where it's wrote down anywhere that you're gonna make it. What guarantee do you have that you're gonna live that long? In my opinion, is you better get it when you can, in that respect. Because we're not promised that, you know, as the old people used to say, the only heartbeat you can count on is the one you feel right now, and it's gone. You know, that's really how close it is.
True.
All right, where do we get to? 7? You hear from Chris. Well, did Isaiah the prophet prophesied you saying, the people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, and not me with their lips, but their hearts far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching the doctrines and commandments of men. And how much do you see that today? Now, notice on TV. Now, I usually don't watch the networks too much because there's never anything on there. But you watch, you know, I was watching ice skaters. So anyhow, you notice how they're slowly bringing in their liberal, you know, and with the gays and lesbians, you see women kissing and all. And I'm talking about on 13. See, they slowly bringing that in, trying to ease it over gradually. And they're teaching the things that as right when it's not. You know, the big controversy we've all talked about, you know, in the dressing rooms and all that, but even bigger than that, you know, they don't know whether they're a boy or a girl. Now, Michael, what would want to have done to you if you said something like that to her? Probably the same thing Granny done to me.
Shut your mouth, Mo.
He said, son, if you don't know that, we're going, and now this is her saying, right, you don't know that, son, we're going to send you to Broughton. And that's what she would have said. And that's how foolish it is. But parents are not parents anymore. You know, they let the kids decide, and you know, they say they're scared they'll commit suicide, or this or that. Well, you're in control. And, you know, they're just trying to ease it all in as being all right when it's not. Let's see, and he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth the man, but that which cometh out of the mouth defileth the man. And now this verse right here, you have to really be careful, because I've heard people twist that around. It's not what goes in, so you can drink, you can do this, you can do that, as long as you don't. Now that ain't what it's saying.
Right.
Because we've all been down that road, and it ain't a good place to be. You know, from personal experience.
Yeah.
And you know, people say, well, you know, you can hear anything and pick out the good. No, you can't. You know, it's kind of like someone tears in the wheat. You know, because now the tare looks just like, and his poison looks just like the wheat does. So somebody has to know what they're looking at in order to separate them out. That's how close it. Now, you know, he said he would deceive the very elect if it were possible. Now, the very elect's the church.
True.
And if it's that close, you got to stand on what the word says. You know, now that song is in the Dole sing about the church of God. You got to be grounded in that and stand on it. That's the only thing that's going to make it.
True.
Let's see. Then came his disciples and said to him, knowest thou that the Pharisees are offended after they hear this saying? Were offended after they heard this saying? He answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted shall be rooted up. You see, they ain't one. Now, I've said this many times, and I'll say it right now. You can be anywhere, I don't care where you're at, hanging off top of that barn, whatever, and meet God's conditions and you can get saved. Don't matter. Working on my Jeep or whatever. It's when you humble yourself with the Lord and you can get saved. But there's gonna come a time that you're gonna become aware of the church and everything else. And at that point, you're gonna have to make a decision which way you're gonna go. You know, that's as plain as I can put it. But now, repentance and salvation, two different things. You repent, that just gets you started, and you gotta work out your salvation. And the Lord will open your eyes. And when you become aware, and it's somewhat of a hard saying, but when you become aware, and I'll add this to it, and understand. Now, there's a difference in having the scripture read in your presence. You don't necessarily understand what's said. But when the Lord reveals it to you and you understand it, at that point, then it's required of you.
Right.
And you know, that's kind of hard, but that's the way it is, and you have to move to that to continue. And it don't all happen at one time. The Lord gives you a period, you know, just like He did the Jews, a period to learn and understand and adapt to that. Because any of you ever, and I have tried to coon hunt and walk into somebody else's life. It's a good thing I was young, because that hurt me now. You know, it's very hard to do. You know, you can't see. Because he decides he wants to look up in the tree, you're running down through here, and what are you seeing? You're in the dark.
Hey, it's the way it lets you go by and you can't see nothing. He hits you right in the
Yeah, I'll
eye.
put your eye out. I've had that happen time or two. And it seemed like they always want to bend it back a little bit further than it has to. So, yeah, been there, done that. But it's when you see and understand, because when you got your own light, you know where you're steady.
Yeah.
You know where to be cautious, you know where not to be. Where you can just go on. The more understanding you get into this, you know where you can move and where you can't.
True.
And then, you know, the next verse, let them alone, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead, the blind both shall fall in the ditch. Then answered Peter and said unto him, declaring to us this parable. Jesus said, are you also yet without understanding? Do you not understand that whatsoever entereth into the mouth going into the belly and is cast out in the draught? Those things which proceedeth out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. You know, now you can spend enough time around somebody, you know, you'll see the fruits one way or the other. You know, because there's things that you can't lie about, and that's one of them. I mean, the true inner you will come out sooner or later. Come on in.
Come on.
Let's see, Luke got to 19. It's 15th chapter of Matthew, we're reading from 19th verse. For out of the heart proceedeth evil thoughts, murders, adultery, fornications, thefts, false witness, and blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man. You know, and that's kind of like what they were, you know, straining the net and swallowing a camel type thing. You know, they were nitpicking, just looking for anything they could find to bring against Christ. And of course, in the end, they had to bear false witness, and then when they got up there, you know, they couldn't agree on the story or anything else. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thy son of David, my daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. He answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. Now, you know, Christ had, you know, the Lord leads. And she was probably getting on the disciples' nerves, and they were getting there, said, why don't you just send her away? but it wasn't time for that yet. The answer to them answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then she came and she worshipped the Lord, saying, Lord, help me. The answer said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. And, you know, they didn't have anything to do with the Gentiles. You know, when he sent the disciples out, Peter and always said, go first to the lost house of Israel. And she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. See, it comes down, you have to have faith to believe. And that's what he was waiting on. You know, it's like praying for somebody. It's not necessarily the person that's sick. Now, the way I look at it, and you got other thoughts I like hearing, you know, it's not so much their faith, it's because they're a lot of times not in condition, it's your faith that makes the difference. You see, and that's why, you know, pondering so on that, and we went and prayed for Wilma, you know, and I mean, I felt it. And she died anyway, and that's still kind of, I kicked that around a little bit. I mean, I was obedient, but I was saying, Lord, did I do something wrong? You know, I mean, but, you know, that's just the way it worked out. And that's the only way you look at it. We were obedient, that's all we can be. That doesn't make it easier, but, you know, everything in his plan. And Jesus departed from thence and came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee, and went up into a mountain and sat down there. And great multitudes came to him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, to cast him at the feet of Jesus, cast him down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. Insomuch that the multitudes wondered when they saw the dumb speak and the maimed to be whole, the lame to walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. Now, you know, Joe was talking, you know, we was talking about that a little bit this morning. And one thing, they were probably a little bit more easier to believe those things than what we would be. And as I've said, all of us about it's got glasses. You know, laser surgery and all that, it ain't no big deal. But when you take these glasses off, one thing for sure, I won't be reading this.
Can't see like he did.
I barely can see the book, let alone what's wrote on it. But to them, that was a big deal. Now, can you imagine trying to go through life with everything blurry? And that, you know, that's a minute thing. You know, you cut yourself. We put a little triple antibiotic on it and go on about your way. What do they do? So I'm just saying, you know, brought the multitude, but here was somebody that could give them ease, could do things that they weren't able to take care of. And that would have been a wonder and an amazement to everybody that he was able to do that. And they took advantage of it. But in the same token, he had a lot of people following. It's like a lot of people, you know, we've talked about this through the years, how many people's been sick. You know, I mean, you've experienced it too. That said, if the Lord will heal me, I'll come to church. Now, we've all heard that time and time again. 90% of the time, what happens? If they come, they might come a time or two, or they don't come at all. Now, you know, they're taking advantage. And then it's like a lot of these people did. You know, but they did glorify God because that was, you know, that was where it all came from. Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude because they continue with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I will not send them away fasting unless they faint in the way. And the disciples said unto him, when should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to feed so great a multitude? And Jesus said unto them, how many loaves have ye? And they said 7, and a few little fish. And notice that right there, it didn't say a few fish, it said a few little fish. Thought to come to mind right there, you know, they said, this is all we got to eat. Now, somebody's going to have to do that. You know, they said, we got little fish. And you didn't have it, as people will do. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. He took the 7 loaves and fishes and gave thanks and brake them and gave to his disciples and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat and were filled, and they took up with the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men besides women and children. Now, it's either 4,000 or 5,000, depending on which one tells you. So you're talking about 20,000 people at least. And he sent away the multitude and took the ship and came unto the coast of Magdala. And what it's saying is you can't outgive God.
Amen.
You know, that's something, and he'll take care in any situation, no matter what it is. You know, as we're all living examples of. You know, we're able to survive, you know, just have faith in God, and he'll take care of it.
Yeah.
You know, the 10 years that I've been down and everything, I mean, I'm losing a little bit of weight now, which is a good thing, but I didn't do without anything. I never had to sleep outside, I always had plenty to eat. You know, I said you can't, God's good, you can't outgive him.
That's right.
All right, we'll start with the 16th.
Can you remember this?